Hi everybody, a very warm welcome from IELTSMaterial.com. Today we are going to discuss about matching names from the general reading of IELTS. I know a lot of my students, a lot of my IELTS experience have a lot of difficulties while matching names to their ideologies and theories. So this is your trainer Kritika with yet another session from the Question of the Day series to give you tips and tricks so that you get that band line that you deserve. So let me see who all have joined us today. So for all of my viewers who have joined us for the very first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss on any of our videos, any of our live interactive sessions that are there every day at 6 p.m. IST. So since I said we will be discussing about matching names, let us see what comes after this. Firstly, can anybody tell me what all does matching names include? So here basically students, what we are given with a paragraph. For example, a paragraph is given to you and then an option is given. Options here, you will be given with certain options where you'll have names. So the options of the names are given, then you are given with certain statements. Your job is to read the options of the names, not the whole passage. Once you read the names, you will find those names from the paragraph and you will try and associate each name to their theories. Right? Okay, let's move forward. Let's make it more clear with suitable examples with more tips and tricks. So, what all tips do I have for you today is that first tip to remember, guys, is that names might be shortened. So, how could it be shortened? You can get like the name is Mr. John Gray. So this would be the name that you are getting in the options. Like in the question, the name is Mr. John Gray. But while in the passage, the name only is Mr. Gray. Therefore, this might be difficult for you to understand where is the name. So now you have to be cautious while getting that name from the paragraph. You must be able to scan Mr. Gray as Mr. John Gray. Right? You get this? The next thing here is they are never in order. So this matching things are never in order. You will never get the first answer in the first paragraph, the second answer in the second paragraph. The third thing is that there are more statements than names. One thing to remember. So since students, we have more statements than names, it is ideal and basically it is imperative that you read your names first and then you go on to the paragraph. You never read the statements because you have more statements. Reading them is all in vain. If you read all the statements, all that is there is you will be confused. So you don't have to read the names. So you don't have to read the statements. You just have to read the names. Right? Moving further, the fourth tip that I'll give you is that go for those names first that appear only once in the text. So since there will be some names. So students, there will be some names that will appear again and again in the paragraph. You will have some names that will be there twice or thrice. But we have to focus on this strategy that we follow those names that are appearing only once. Do not just always go for names that is appearing again and again, right? Always scan for names. So you should not go for those names which are not there in the options. Scan for those names which are there in the options, right? Clear till now? So the next thing is applying a strategy to your this matching thing. The next thing is read. The first thing that you do here is read. But what to read? The first thing that you read, students, is your question. Read the question. And what else do you read? Read the question and read the names. Right? Read the question, read the names that are given. Do not read the statements. Remember, do not read the statements. Scan. Scan your passage for the names. Scan your passage for the name. Find the names from the passage. The third thing is you highlight the names. One pro tip from your trainer would be that if you find it difficult to find the names with the same colored pen, then get yourself different colored pens. So if you want to underline different names, you can use different colored pens for underlining. Okay? The fourth thing to do here is to again read. But what to read here is now you have to read the first two lines and the last two lines from the name. Basically, a line that is before the name and the line that is after the name, you have to follow those lines, right? And the last thing is to match. When you come on to matching, when once you have read all of the lines, you will come to your matching part. You will come to your statements. You will read the ideologies from the paragraph and you will match to the statements that are given to you. Once you are done with this part, you will repeat this strategy for every name that is given in the questions. Okay, I hope I have made myself clear. Just to summarize, read the questions, read the names, scan the passage for the names that you have got, highlight the names preferably with different colored pens. Read the first two lines and the last two lines from where it is mentioned in the paragraph. The last thing is you match the ideologies that are written in the paragraph to that are given in the question. So let's try and apply this strategy in a question. So again, likewise, I told you, like we don't read the statements, nor do we read the question. We have this name, August Rollick. We have to make sure that we scan it correctly. We try and find this name from this whole paragraph. So where do you find August Rollick written here? If we actually focus, August Rollick comes in the very last third line, right here. Here you will find August Rollick. So our job is to do what? We have to read the first two lines and the last two lines. So what does the first two lines say? The sun has long been called nature's greatest health giver and healer and has played a chief role at health resorts ever since August Rollick, the Swiss father of heliotherapy, opened his first high-alps sanatorium. So guys, here we are talking about health resorts. That is about the location which we are using to avail to get most of the benefits of the sun. So can you relate any of these statements from the location or the importance of location to avail or to get the benefits of the sun? Can you associate? Because if you look on to this question, this G part is unsure about the benefits of sun. This cannot be the answer. Or if you see, suggest the sun is an accident here. No, this is also not associated with that. But if we come on to the H part, thinks the location is very important in maximizing the benefit from the sun. This will be the correct ideology or the theory. Why? Because August Rollick is being directly associated with what? That he has opened a health resort. He is using a resort. He is using a location to get the maximum benefit from the sun, right? So this is one way of getting your answer correct. Let's move to one more example. So the next example that we have here is you are given another paragraph and the name of the author is or the scientist is Richard Kovacs. So can you scan Richard Kovacs from this paragraph? Where do you find it? Richard Kovacs. We find it in the fifth line, Richard Kovacs. We have to read the first two lines and the last two lines. Okay. Another specialist, Dr. Kovacs, writes, sun treatment is often helpful to persons suffering from general debility, repeated colds, respiratory diseases, influenza, and the like. So what can you associate this with? if we actually look onto these things, repeated colds, respiratory diseases, influenza, can you associate this with any of the synonyms from the statements? If I look at that, we get this E part. We get this E part, that is common illness. So all of these are basically your common illnesses. So if we read suggests that sun assists with common illness, which is very similar to what is already written here. Sun treatment is often helpful to persons suffering from general debility, repeated colds, respiratory diseases, influenza, and the like. So this and this statement, the E part and this statement are one and the same thing. So this E part is your correct answer for this ritual codes. The second question is our W Koblenz. So can we scan our answer for this one? Can you scan the paragraph? Okay. So where do you find W Koblenz written in the paragraph? The very first line, it is written here that W Koblenz suggests that sun cure is a major factor in the treatment of at least 23 skin diseases ranging from acne, eczema, to ulcers and wounds. So can you find anything that is paraphrased or has a similar meaning from the given options? So if we look here, the believes that benefits of sun are not scientifically provable. No, this is not one belief that we go to. Yes, Manoj. Yes. This is the correct answer. Suggests that the sun is an excellent healer. Because here we are talking about healing, and here also they are talking about curing, which is a synonym to healing, a major factor in the treatment of at least 23 skin diseases. So here we come on to the last part, that is Leonard dots. So what can you find about Leonard dots? Can you find find this from the paragraph? Can you scan this name from the paragraph? It is here, Dr. Leonard Dots. So if what are we required to do? We have to read the first two lines and the last two lines. The first two lines are, after a long winter, the return to sun writes Dr. Leonard Dots, the British sunlight scholar, is a general stimulus to body more potent if applied after a period when it has been lacking, which gradually loses its effect if exposure is over prolonged, even when not excessive. Loses its effect. From loses its effect, viewers, what are we actually looking at? From loses its effect, we are somewhere looking at the disadvantage of the sunlight. So how can you associate, which statement do you think is somewhere associated with the disadvantage of the lens? Is unsure about the benefits? Not exactly. He is telling us that there are a lot of benefits of sunlight. If we go to this, the PIPA claims that discovered the vitamin released in the skin by the sun. No. Also, this is not the answer. Invented the first sunscreen. No. But if we go to the F part, thinks that initially the sun is of benefit to the body. So then we get that this is something that is associated with answer. Why? Because initially, here we are talking about initially. So we are not saying sun is always beneficial, or even if we are using it for prolonged time, it is beneficial. We are just saying that initially it is a lot beneficial, right? And what this is exactly what Leonard Dodds has to say. Leonard Dodds says, general stimulus body is more potent if applied after a period it has been lacking, which gradually loses its effect if exposure is over prolonged. So we are saying that if the exposure is over prolonged, the effect will lose, right? So just to summarize what we have learned in this session, I'll take you through all of that. The first thing that we learned, what is the first step that we do? We read the questions, right? We read the question. The very first part to do is we read the question, along with then we read the names. You never read the statements, you never read your whole paragraph, because then your time management becomes a hectic issue. Basically, it becomes an issue for you. It is difficult to manage time when you are reading the whole statement, which are not obviously your answers, and the whole paragraph is also not required. So you just read the names, you scan it, you scan the names. Remember that the names are always, most probably, they will be shortened. Mr. John Gray to Mr. Gray. Richard Kovacs, or you say W. Koblenz is given in the question. However, the paragraph says Dr. W. Koblenz. So this you have to keep in mind, not exactly the same name will appear in the paragraph. So while scanning, you must remember this. After scanning, you highlight the words. Preferably use colored pens for this so that you don't confuse on names, or it is easy for you to actually get to Richard Kovacs where it is get to W. Koblenz, because you have highlighted them in different colors. Right? After highlighting, your job is to read the first two lines and the last two lines. Not forgetting on this, the first two lines and the last two lines are very important to be read, because from this only you will get your answers. Just by scanning, you won't get the answers. When you have read this, try and match them from the statements that are given to you. When you get the correct answer, you will just mark the answer and you will repeat this strategy for all of the questions. Right? I hope I've made myself clear with this. So matching names follows a lot of things. The very basic things that you need to remember, names are shortened. They are never in series. Don't ever try to find them in series. Always scan for names. Do not read all the paragraphs and everything. So with this, students, we come to an end of our session. I hope I've made matching names a bit clear to all of you. I hope this session was useful. But I have a very exciting news for all my IELTS aspirants. So finally, guys, we have launched our basically our live everyday classes every day at 5. For all of those who have not yet enrolled in this course, do visit our website, get enrolled in the course. All the links that you would need are there in the description box. So don't miss on this, because our trainer Yesha Manek is going to explain all about the listening completion task part 1 tomorrow at 5 live there. So you can get all your queries cleared with her, get all the tips and tricks. So don't forget to enroll yourself. Thank you so much for joining in. This is your trainer Kritika.